Displaying high school sports on all platforms, Big Sports Live with James St. Williams right here in the Roanoke Valley. Coming today with my new guest, Mr. Chris Lyons, the new face of Roanoke Rapids High School football. How you doing this morning, Coach?
I'm doing good. I appreciate you having me on.
I appreciate you coming here, man. I know you're a busy guy making the transition. I see you got the new office with the window. I guess that's the luxurious life of being a head coach, huh?
I don't know about luxurious, but it's pretty good so far. Yes, sir.
Now, if you could just sort of just give me an idea of what the transition has been like, you know, where everything's going on, not only just with the pandemic, but just you receiving a new position during the pandemic, as if being a head coach already isn't enough. We got some more things to deal with. So you can just sort of talk to me about how's that been.
Transition's been pretty smooth. The best thing is Coach Mack, our old ex-head coach. Me and him have a great relationship, and I've been in touch with him. And me being here the last 3 years, I know the administration, and so they've all been supportive. And this time has been difficult, not being able to have the kids in here working out and stuff like that. But it's been a good time to have little projects done around the school, get things done that haven't been done in the last few years because we haven't had time because of football and all. So it's a difficult time. I wish the kids were in here lifting, working, and we were practicing, but it is what it is, and we're trying to do what we can to make this the best experience as possible.
Now, I know the big question at hand I got to ask you before we even go any further. I know that you're thinking about bringing the kids back, thinking about bringing your athletes back sometime early this month. We all know that Wake County has pushed theirs back a couple of weeks, so I was just sort of wondering where you still stand on that. Do you still want to bring them back at the same date, or are you looking to push it back just a little bit later?
We actually just made an announcement on our social media sites after talking to some health officials and talking to my athletic director and my principal. I think the smartest thing to do is to move it back. If one kid was to have a temperature and have the virus, then we would probably have to shut pretty much everything down. And then going forward, starting in August or September, if one kid was to have it, that is not going to be good for that. So we thought the smart thing to do was to push it back a little bit to August 1st. Hopefully we can get rolling then, trying to stay optimistic, but only time can tell, so we don't know.
Well, of course, I know you're a big football guy, and just like I am, but just from a realistic standpoint, you know, how realistic that is just even affordable on any measure that we still play sports in this winter season?
My old high school coach used to say he's not an optimistic, he's not a pessimistic, but he's a realist. And I like to think of myself the same way. Football is 22 guys on the field at one time, touching, sweating, spitting, bleeding sometimes. It is a contact sport, and that is realistically not what you want when you have a pandemic like we have now. So realistically, I'm trying to stay positive, optimistic, but if I would have to say, football in August is not looking good. We got to prepare like it is, even though the kids aren't coming in lifting and working out. My coaching staff is put together. We'll have meetings here soon. We will be prepared as if we'll start August 1st. But if I had to put some money on it, I would bet that we would probably not be playing a normal season, I'll at least say.
All right. And that's just something we all hate to hear with everything going on. Sports just sort of keep our lives normal, keep our lives in check. Yeah. But in regards to that, just to sort of switch up the tempo a little bit, with you coming back to Roanoke Rapids, being an assistant coach, and now you're the head coach, and you can just sort of talk about just how that transition has been, how much you loved it, how was it like when you first received the news? I know that had to be big for you coming back to your old stomping grounds, and now you've been able to just sort of run the show yourself. So you can just sort of speak on how that transition has been, even though we're in the midst of the whole global pandemic.
I've used this quote 1,000 times since I got the job. This was the dream job. I'm a hometown kid, and hometown dreams when I fell in love with the sport when I was 3 years old, and when I fell in love, especially when I played high school here, my dream was to come be the head football coach at Roanoke Rapids High School. And so we had meetings last week, and one of the things I said to the kids, and I told them I'll say it 100 more times, it's a privilege to play football at Roanoke Rapids High School. So it is a privilege to be the head football coach at Roanoke Rapids High School. I'm honored. I told them in my interview that this would be the biggest honor of my life. My fiance, I just got engaged not too long ago. it would be right up there with that, and it would be right up there with my wedding day. So it has been just such an exciting time for me, such a happy time. When I got the news, I called my dad. He's been a bigger part of my football journey. So it's just been a dream come true.
Yes, sir. And first of all, before we go any further, I want to say congrats to you on that. But I already know how football can be your first love. It's hard. It's hard to pull away from that. If you could just sort of speak on just just how much you want to see a change in the Runner Rapids culture, if you want to see a change in the Runner Rapids football culture. I know with you being a part of the system so long, stepping away to finish school and then coming back, what are some things that you noticed about the program that you wish to implement now going forward?
Well, first, speaking on Coach Mack, like I said, and I have a great relationship, and he did a great job here. He's the first man to get us to a third round win, or get us to the third round. And that was before I got here. But he's a great coach and a great man, and I appreciate everything he's done for me in this program. But what I would say is going forward is the culture does need to change a little bit. We've had successful years. Last year was probably our only down year of Coach Mack's era. And so I think everybody knows sometimes it's time for a change. And Coach Mack he's open. He's very excited for me. And I think he knew it was time for a change, and the school knew it was time for a change. And so when it comes to culture and things like that, certain things need to be tightened up. Certain things need to be done a little bit better, but things are pretty well off in Runner Rapids for the Runner Rapids program in my eyes.
Now, you spoke about playoffs. Of course, you've been to the playoffs not only as a player but as a coach. But what do you think right now is the biggest adjustment that you all need to make as a program to make sure that you can provide lengthy playoff runs year after year, or even taking a big stake at the state championship one year?
The work has to be put in the weight room, first of all. The weight room is the biggest thing right now. Once we can get them in here and get them rolling with that, then that's the number one object. But then learning how to practice is the second biggest thing. Going out to practice and being efficient and learning how to practice and making everything count would be the biggest thing.
Right. I just know how big practice can be, or just the weight room can be, and how big preparation goes into things. But from a preparation to a game standpoint, I know that you were a defensive guy, but how is it now you trying to implement? Are you implementing a new offense, implementing a new defense coming this year, or do you just sort of want to use Coach Matt's system and try to take that to the next level?
Yeah, I am a defensive guy. Played linebacker in college and high school, obviously. But I was raised in a spread system. I played also center in high school. And my high school team was one of the best teams to come through this area. And we ran the spread. And so I know the spread like the back of my hand, and that's my bread and butter. And so I'll actually be the offensive coordinator, the quarterback's coach, and we'll be running the spread. And so we want to spread them out, get our athletes the ball as much as possible, make plays, and just win ball games. That's the plan.
All right, Coach. Probably one last question here. I don't want to hold you too long. In terms of everything going on, what would you say has been the thing you have been most grateful for outside of getting the new position, but still dealing with Runner Rapids High School football?
It's a tough question. The thing outside of football that I'm most excited about?
Right.
I guess my fiance is probably going to see this, so my answer would have to be getting married next year, getting engaged. I guess if that's not my answer, she would probably have an issue with me. But no, of course, I'm excited. We actually closed on our house 3 days after we got engaged. So 2020 has been a crazy year, and football-wise, it's disappointing right now. But my life has been pretty good 2020. I got my own house, and I got engaged and be married soon. So life is pretty good for myself right now.
I know last year you guys had some trouble, but I know a couple of the bigger schools, especially schools such as like Vance. So what are your ideas this year about how to tackle on those, as well as just tackling the whole conference?
We have a great conference. We play in a great conference. And we're in a 1A, 2A league, and even the 1A teams are tough outs. But what I'm most excited about is we have a good group of seniors coming back, and we also have a good group of young guys coming back. There's going to be plenty of sophomores that are going to be playing varsity, so we're going to have that mixture of young and old. But, I mean, our conference is always going to be tough. South Granville has been dominant the last few years. Granville Central has been just as good. You got Webb, you got all the others. Vance County is no longer in our conference, but we're still playing them, and they're obviously, I believe, 3A or 4A now. So our conference is no rollover. We're going to have to bring it every Friday night. We're going to have to bring it every Monday through Thursday practicing. But we will be prepared as well as anyone. I can promise you that with the coaching staff I've put together, with the time that we're going to put in with film and getting these kids prepared. And so what it comes down to is getting prepared and just going out and playing. I would say in this conference, it's a good conference, but it's never an opponent that we cannot beat and that we cannot play with. And so looking forward, I feel like the future is bright, and hopefully the season, 2020 season, is bright.
I know you spoke on the spread offense, but we all know a good spread offense, you got to have somebody who can sling the football back there. So you can just talk about what the quarterback battle is like. You have a quarterback battle. Is it already predetermined? Or how is the whole quarterback battle that you have, especially going into the spread offense?
It will be a quarterback battle. I told our kids last week in our meetings that competition brings out the best in everyone, and we are going to have competition across the boards, and that includes the quarterback position. We've got a few kids. We got a senior coming back, a kid who got some snaps as a junior. JV quarterback was pretty good last year. He'll be back as a sophomore, and there's another kid that possibly could play. Actually, two other kids, a senior and a sophomore, that we're looking at. So it is open across the board. We will compete. And whoever is the best, whoever gives us the best chance of winning, will win that job. It's real simple.
Now that's the one man. So how about the two man? How about the running back battle?
We've got some good running backs. The young sophomore class, they will be sophomores. There's some good running backs in that class, and we've got athletes that we get the ball in their hands, they're going to make plays. So we're looking pretty good there too.
And one more thing, if we talk about offense, we know we got to talk about your side of the football, defense. So how's the defense looking? I know you guys are bringing out a lot of seniors this year. So how does that defense coming along?
The defense will be very solid in my opinion. A lot of guys that I've had the last 2 years as defensive coordinator are coming back still. Zach Navarro, X Clemens, Jalen Holmes, people like that. And the biggest thing is I got Pete Edwards, who was my defensive coordinator here at high school. He's on board, and he's going to be our defensive coordinator. He's been coaching longer than I've been alive. So I'll be able to give him the reins for that. And I'll have my input every now and then, but mostly he'll be doing his thing, and I know that I won't even have to touch it because he knows it that well. So I'm very confident on the defensive side of the ball. Looking forward to seeing what those guys can do this year.
Now, I just got to ask, your offense or your defense better? Just a quick question. I know I don't want you to be defensive biased.
How about they're both going to be very solid? We'll do that.
Okay. I can live with that. All right, Coach, thank you so much for tuning on with us today.
All right, I appreciate it, man. Thanks,
yes, sir.
So much.
Wish you the best on the season.
Thank you.